I'm 75 years old, and the hardest truth I've learned is this. You can give everyone what they want and still lose everything that matters. I'm sitting alone at my kitchen table as I record this. The same table where birthdays were celebrated, where arguments ended in silence, where I nodded, smiled, and swallowed words I never said. People used to call me kind, reliable, selfless. They meant it as a compliment. It took me 75 years to realize that was the problem. Act 1. The past. When I thought I was doing everything right, I grew up believing that being loved meant being useful, that if people were happy with me, I must be doing something right. I was born in 1950, in a small house that always smelled like coffee and floor cleaner. My father worked long hours and spoke very little. My mother smiled through exhaustion. When I was 8, I remember spilling milk at the dinner table. My father didn't yell. He just sighed, deeply. That sigh taught me something. Disappointing people felt worse than pain, so I learned early how to avoid it. I became agreeable, quiet, helpful. Teachers loved me, neighbors trusted me, friends leaned on me, and every time someone said, "You're such a good boy," something inside me relaxed. By my 20s, pleasing others wasn't something I did, it was who I was. I took the safe job because my parents approved. I married young because it was expected. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I told myself it was maturity, responsibility, love. I worked in an office with beige walls and humming lights. Every morning, the same drive, same radio station, same knot in my stomach. But I told myself, this is what adults do. At home, my wife Sarah would ask, "Are you okay?" I'd smile and say, "Just tired." I was always tired. Our son was born when I was 29. I remember holding him in the hospital, the smell of antiseptic and warm blankets. I promised myself I'd be a good father, better than mine, so I worked more, provided more, sacrificed more. Every decision was filtered through one question: what will they think? Not what do I feel, not what do I want, just what will keep everyone comfortable. Act 2. The turning point. The moments I ignored. There wasn't one big mistake, no dramatic explosion. It was quieter than that. It was 1985 when the first real crack appeared. I was 35. A friend offered me a chance to start a small business together. It scared me, but it excited me too. For the first time in years, I felt something like hope. I brought it up at dinner. Sarah frowned slightly. "That sounds risky," she said. "What about the mortgage?" My parents said it wasn't practical. My co-workers laughed it off. I nodded along. Of course, they were right. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling fan turning slowly. I remember thinking, if I say no now, I'll regret it. Then I thought something else. But if I say yes, I might disappoint them. The next morning, I declined the offer. I told my friend it wasn't the right time. He understood. He always did. I went back to my desk. The hum of the lights felt louder that day. That wasn't the last moment, just the first I remember clearly. Years later, Sarah wanted to move closer to her parents. I didn't want to leave the neighborhood. I agreed anyway. My son wanted me to come to his school play. My boss hinted at an important meeting. I chose the meeting. Each time, the decision felt small, harmless. I told myself, there will be other chances. But chances don't disappear all at once. They fade, slowly, quietly, until one day, you realize they're gone. Act 3. The consequences. When time collects its debt. Time passed the way it always does, 1 year at a time. Promotions came, gray hairs followed. People praised my dedication, my reliability. Inside, something was shrinking. Sarah and I stopped arguing because we stopped talking. Our conversations became schedules and reminders. My son grew taller, quieter. I missed things without meaning to. Then, without noticing. When he left for college, I stood in his empty room. Posters half peeled from the walls. A faint smell of cologne and dust. I realized I didn't really know him. That night, I felt something heavy settle in my chest. Not grief, regret. But even then, I didn't change. I told myself it was too late. At 52, my friend from years ago invited me to his office. He had taken that risk I refused. The view from his window overlooked the city, sunlight everywhere. He asked me gently, "Are you happy?" I laughed it off. Happy enough. Driving home, my hands shook on the steering wheel. That was the moment I understood something, and still did nothing about it. Years later, Sarah and I separated. No yelling, no betrayal, just exhaustion. She said, "I feel like I lived next to you, not with you." I wanted to argue, to explain. Instead, I apologized. It was what I always did. Now I live alone. The house is too quiet. The clock on the wall is loud at night. Every tick sounds like a question I never answered. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the dark window, an old man staring back, and I think, who was this all for? Act 4. The wisdom. What I finally understand at 75. Here's the truth I wish someone had forced me to hear. People will take as much of you as you're willing to give, and they will still move on. Pleasing others feels like love, but it's not the same thing. Love allows you to exist. Pleasing erases you. I thought being selfless made me good, but I was really afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid of disapproval, afraid of being alone, and that fear cost me my voice. At 75, I understand this now. Your life is not a group project. The resentment I buried didn't disappear. It waited, and now it keeps me company. If only I had known. That disappointing people wouldn't have destroyed me, but disappointing myself did. I don't hate my life, but I mourn the version of me that never got a chance. The man who wanted more, who felt more. If you're listening to this and you feel that quiet tightness in your chest, that's not tiredness. That's you, waiting. I can't go back, but you still can. Stop asking who you need to please. Ask who you're becoming. Call the person you've been avoiding. Say the thing you keep swallowing. Take the step you've been postponing. Don't wait until you're 75, sitting at a quiet table, wishing you had lived louder. If this story stayed with you, stay with this channel. There's not much time. Use it.